This is a moderator, Destiny's top moderator from his subreddit, who I've talked to in my show about how violent that fucking subreddit community is. Now, here he is confronting Destiny this week like it's getting out of control. The violence in your own subreddit, in your own Discord, in your own chat's out of control. They're not justifying violence because you're extreme. It's not, they're like, well, you know, Jake Rattlesnake's a good conservative. I dislike him. You know, his politics are all wrong, but he's a decent guy. But Rob's, you know, political plans are more extreme. They make no differentiation. They don't give a shit. The mere fact that I'm conservative is enough to mark me as an immoral piece of shit. Now the question of violence being used against me is only how effective am I? Charlie Kirk was very effective. That's why violence was justified. That's why they celebrated it, so many of them.
And I know like your argument is like, well, people like Trump and things like that, like they can say this stuff openly, and like I completely understand that argument.
Right, that's the only argument. It's the only argument Destiny has. Trump says mean things. Trump said mean things, therefore I have to say this stuff. It's constantly his appeal.
My argument is that people aren't taking this serious, and if they are taking it serious and they are meaning the words that they're saying and they're not joking, that is the problem.
Okay. Everyone's joking though.
But everybody's not.
Look, the comments. This guy's a Fed. Worst Reddit mod ever. By the way, notice on that other stream that occurred after this, the first one I started playing, Destiny says at one point, everybody getting mad at Hobbit. Yes, his community's mad because the head mod of that community came out and was like, things are getting fucking crazy. The violence, the calls for violence around here aren't jokes anymore. It's getting fucking scary. And the community's predictable response to that is, shut that guy up. He's a Fed. He's a piece of shit.
Not joking, though. My concern is that we are vastly approaching like point of no return in our own rhetoric within the community. And I think that it is being furthered by us not addressing it. So I really want to address like the fact that like in the subreddit, we're going to crack down on not just like explicit calls for violence, but also the jokes. Because the jokes have been growing, and it's only a matter of time before those jokes become things that get removed in general. And like it's becoming an issue that I'm worried that the subreddit is going to get nuked because people are not taking it seriously. And I know that it's like a cucked position to be in, but you know, we get treated in this community a lot different than what other communities get treated.
Now, partially true. That is actually true. For example, Destiny got banned from Twitch for saying shit that you could have seen the old trans community. What was the name of the Keffels? Remember them? Demon Mama, right? That was like, I don't know why they had the ear of people at Twitch. They'd say the most fucked up shit. Vosh would say fucked up shit. Hassan would say fucked up shit. Destiny was the one that got banned. That was bullshit, by the way. Absolute bullshit, right? Destiny, I believe, is demonetized on YouTube as well. But the idea that his community, like on Reddit, that's what they're talking about specifically here, subreddit, that the subreddit's going to get banned. Dude, you can't even fucking defend ICE on Reddit. Those crazy left-wing motherfuckers will ban you for anything on almost any subreddit. So to hear these sour grapes, hey, maybe we ought to cut back on the death threats against this administration because I'm afraid that we're treated harsher than other communities. The left's always playing. I've said this. This is the thing for the left, right? You could have looked at the left and said, look, all of social media like ran by like 95% left-wingers, right? 95% controlled by left-wingers. It's so unfair. And the left would say, I agree. It is unfair. It ought to be 100%. And you're like, wait, what? That's how they legitimately feel. You think Destiny would give a fuck if I tried to have a subreddit and it got banned within 3 days? None of them would give a shit at all. Destiny said, while referencing me specifically, that I'm a conspiracy theorist. And what we ought to do is ban all social media because conspiracy theories spreading disinformation. He wouldn't give a fuck. Meanwhile, I've done videos like, why did Destiny get banned from Twitch? This is bullshit. So it's rich hearing like, hey guys, can we cut down on the violent rhetoric? I'm afraid our community will be treated more harshly. And the weird part is they're partially right. Yes, someone who's more left like Hassan probably will get away with more. And by the way, there's an irony here. There's two things that are true. One, the irony of Destiny can't see how some of the very things he bitches about Hassan, that he's guilty of as well, when it comes to violence in the community and shit like that. And secondly, Destiny's also right that people like Hassan are probably worse, and they don't suffer any of the consequences. It's like, they're way over here, right? Here's Hassan. He could do no wrong. Here's Destiny. He gets slapped on the wrist from time to time. And then here's the rest of us, right-wingers. Get the fuck out. You can't be on this platform. Again, they fucking took Parler off the App Store because right-wingers were using it. And they're, oh, January 6th, and blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, Blue Sky, go over there right now. Reddit, it's fucking ubiquitous with calls to violence. No one bats an eye.
It's like people don't understand that. And they think like there's a reason why retard is banned in the subreddit, but on platform, it's not an auto removal. Like when I talked to the admins about the use of retard in the subreddit, they said, well, retard's not a specifically banned word on the platform. And I said, well, when is it a banned word? And they said, when you use it as a derogatory, what was the exact, something along the lines of like, if you say retard to somebody in a way that's meant to bring them down and be used in a derogatory fashion, that's when it's banned.
Sure.
And I don't know anybody in this community that uses the term retard without it being a derogatory way of like putting somebody down. I'm kind of having a hard time like putting this all together because it's been happening more and more, and it's hard for me to stress how much violent rhetoric is happening just in the subreddit alone. And I'm not talking about the jokes. I'm talking about people just openly talking about needing to hurt people. And like, it's just being said out there about hangings and all these types of things. And like, I understand that a lot of people do it in a way that is meant to like blow off steam, but like, this isn't your journal. Like every intrusive thought that comes into your mind isn't something that needs to be shared on platforms. And like, one thing that I want to warn people about is like Reddit has been cited.
So what he's saying here, he's like, listen, it's getting out of control. Like he uses the word hanging. Trust me, they're saying worse than that. That's just one thing he could say to not violate YouTube's TOS. This is a moderator, Destiny's top moderator from his subreddit, who I've talked to in my show about how violent that fucking subreddit community is. Now here he is confronting Destiny this week like it's getting out of control. The violence in your own subreddit and your own Discord and your own chat's out of control. And that,
to be turning information over to the government for things that they're not even subpoenaing. And
by the way, I also applaud him for what he's doing here. I do this a lot. When I tell people, I'm like, listen, I talk about shit that I think could potentially be when I say things like they're destroying your country, someone might take that and say, well, then I got to do something. So I try to give people something to do. First off, there's more to life than politics. Start a family, find members in your community, come together, go to church, do things positive that way. Second, get involved in your local political level. Third, here's what you could do. Try to help people primary. Run for office yourself. I tell people all the time, don't be blackpilled, right? Now, that doesn't mean, I'm not saying it's 100% successful or that everyone's obligated to do that. But I try to give people something to do. The other thing is, then I try to say, even if I can't convince you morally that this is the right thing to do, let me tell you practically what's going to happen. You're going to fail, and you're going to go to prison. So I'm trying to do everything in my possibility, knowing that some people, if you're the type of person that's impressionable enough to say, you know what, maybe I'll go commit some sort of crazy act, you're probably not going to listen to someone saying, but morally, that's not good. So you say, okay, let me tell you why strategically that's a bad idea. So what the moderator is saying here is like, listen, he's kind of wink, wink, nudge, nudge to an audience he knows that right now is like, fuck this guy, what a piece of shit. He's saying, hey man, be careful what you say because your shit might be given to the government. Now, let me reiterate that for you, a right-wing audience. There is a small chance that some of these left-wingers could have their shit sent to the government and there could be something actionable. I won't hold my breath. But as a right-winger, when there are left-wingers in office, you're damn right they'll bring the hammer down on you. They'll arrest you for a fucking meme that says go vote on Wednesday. So you're damn right they'll come after you for this stuff. So don't do it. There's other moral reasons not to do it, but if that's what it needs to get beaten to your head, so I actually applaud the moderator for trying to be like, listen, if you're listening, you want to end up in jail? I wouldn't be doing this shit. Now, this is the smallest snippet of things that Destiny said on social media and other places that might lead his audience to think that he would be okay with violence. Who could forget when Tesla dealerships and owners were having their property destroyed and being threatened? Remember that? During the whole Doge thing? Seems like a lifetime ago. Here the account Reddit Lies puts, this is terrorism. And this is, again, from Reddit. Message to Tesla owners received in North Carolina. No Nazis in America. Tesla owners, trade or sell before February 12th. After that, it is open season on Tesla owners. What's Destiny say? Based. Now, these weren't flippant threats. This was literally as Teslas were being vandalized and people were being threatened. Based. I wonder how Destiny's audience would get the impression that he somehow didn't have a problem with the violence. Or, here we have Destiny read into the record at the House Oversight Committee.
Next one is a few weeks before Charlie Kirk was assassinated, CNN runs widely viewed interview with Destiny describing Charlie Kirk as spawn of Satan.
Yay! Good for you, Destiny. I just included that because I thought it was funny. Getting right into the record. These are just small. How about this one? Destiny said using the term fight like hell was a call to violence, but here's Destiny saying about Mike Johnson, quote, "It is your duty as an American citizen to make sure none of these Republican lawmakers ever feel comfortable going out in public again." Well, hey, they're doing a hell of a job. Charlie Kirk shot, 2 assassination attempts against Trump, etc. Here was from years ago talking about Devin Nunes.
Oh, could you imagine watching Nunes' eyes pop out of his fucking head when they fucking hang him on TV? Nothing would make me happier. Oh my God, I would fucking jerk off. So I would never need to browse porn again if I had a live video feed of Nunes being killed for crimes against his fucking country. Oh my God, it would be the most arousing fucking thing I could ever imagine seeing in my entire life. Holy shit. I'm squeezing my hog to this. That worthless, subhuman fucking piece of shit deserves to die for fucking treason. Holy fuck.
By the way, if I'm not mistaken, the treason was the Nunes memo, which now Destiny claims he actually agrees with, that the FBI was corrupt in its opening of his investigation. But Nunes deserved to die for being right about it. It was treason. Yeah, that's right. If you watch that, in Destiny's chat, they're saying that the mod's a pussy and he's shitty, and they're putting links to Springfield Armory. Yeah. Now there's literally, I could play clips all day. Here's one. This is the recent one that I brought up to Destiny's mod. This is Destiny and his feelings about Republicans. Ready?
Out the crime statistics?
Not exactly like.
You need conservatives to be afraid of getting killed when they go to events so that they look to their leadership to turn down the temperature.
Get that? Conservatives should, this is after assassination of Charlie Kirk. Conservatives, you should be afraid you're going to be killed so that you force change because Trump's rhetoric's so bad, so you have to be afraid of being killed.
Issue is right now, they don't feel like there's any fear. Like, I don't know. It's like memes.
Look at
it's
his audience. Yes, thank you. Yes.
Bro. I don't know. I don't care. I'm playing video games. Okay, I'm done today. I don't give a fuck.
Now, his mod, did you hear what his mod said? Let's go back. What did his mod say when I brought this up? Guy, his subreddit that said that all Republicans should fear for death. Did you call that out on the subreddit? Can I find you calling that out?
Well, seeing as how he didn't say that, I have not called it out.
I'm sorry. He said all Republicans should fear for their lives to be in public. Did you call that out? You didn't. You didn't call that out.
Rob, did he say that all Republicans should fear for their lives in the sense that they should feel threatened in that something's going to happen to them? Or do you think that he was saying that because people are so blatant, like Matt Walsh saying that all of the things that Matt Walsh says, okay, that are you good?
Go ahead, I'm listening. See, excuses. This is the very mod calling out. Oh, wait a minute. It's almost like when Destiny was saying this shit, that his audience was eating it up. Now his mod's like, I wonder why the audience is so violent. When he himself's making excuses. What Destiny was saying there is, I don't like how people on the right use rhetoric that mirror people on the left. And see, Destiny will go out and he'll do his fake pretend Charlie Kirk Unfuck America college campus tours, and his fucking security that he has is not so erudite. That's his security. He ain't afraid he's going to get killed. He ain't afraid when he's debating Konstantin Kisin that some radical Konstantin fan's going to jump up and stab him. That's Konstantin. That's Charlie Kirk. It's the right-wingers that have to fear it. And Destiny's like, that's good. They should fear for their lives to be in public because then they'll stop that menace Donald Trump. They have to stop him. And until they do, well, then you should fear for your life. These aren't jokes. He means that shit. Now, what do you think? If that's a good thing that they should fear for their life, and you're some unhinged Destiny fan, you might say, if that would be good, they fear for their life, how can I make them fear for their lives? I know, I'll use violence. I'll harass them. I'll intimidate them. I'll use violent rhetoric. I'll go out and use violence. I'll stalk them. See, that's a good thing. That's what Destiny said he wants. He wants them to fear for their lives. And even the mod now that's now like, wow, it's getting too radical, he listened to this shit and defended it. Oh, it wasn't that Destiny was saying that. He was saying that that's what we need because Republicans are so bad. So therefore, it's not a bad thing to say, fuck you. I wonder if Destiny's mod's getting shit today. I wonder if they're saying shit about him. Probably not a comfortable place to be. Oh, well, I guess you feel like Destiny wanted conservatives to feel. He said other things. He made a joke about J.D. Vance possibly being assassinated. He made jokes about the open casket at Charlie Kirk's funeral. The examples are near endless. But I did want to play this clip. Now, this is March 4th, 2025. This was me talking with Ryan Mullally before we did our Law and Order show. The great Syrians bot, who's someone who follows me on X, put together this package, and it was just the easiest, most convenient place for me to go to find a lot of Destiny's commentary. Now, at one point here, I was doing a Spaces and called in and talked to Destiny, and I don't know what it is about the iPhone with X Spaces, but man, it makes it sound like I have a lisp, so forgive me that. But I'm just going to play this clip where I'm explaining to Ryan what's going on with Destiny. By the way, Ryan since found out. I believe he's blacklisted from Destiny's community because the grave sin of beating him in a debate, you know how that is. Destiny's not a Democrat. He's not a traditional Democrat. Destiny is an institutionalist, right? And as an institutionalist, he's not going to give a shit, and institutionalists won't give a shit about some of these periphery things. So like abortion, they don't really give a shit. Like gun ownership, they don't really give a shit, right? He'll push back against the radical left on that stuff, but he will defend the institutions at every instant. Everyone. Find one they want. For example, when January 6th happens, he goes on his live stream and he's like, listen, the people that are trying to say that this was some pre-planned coup or some insurrection, that's bullshit. Clearly, it's a riot that got out of hand. I mean, they overwhelmed law enforcement. They're in there just milling about. If they really wanted to harm Congress people, they would have done it.
You think the majority of the people there were actually trying to do that, and all they managed to do was like kill, like one woman got shot by the cops? You're fucking delusional. I think most of the people probably showed up to protest because they were fucking mad, and then shit got riled up. There were probably, almost for sure, I would say, some genuine bad actors there that had fantasies of invading the fucking Capitol and shit. Now, I think I heard from the FBI that it was like 5% or less had some plan to do something. Even that number sounds a little bit high, because 5% of however many thousand people, there's a lot of people. But I don't think every single person who went there, their goal was to destroy the White House or destroy the Capitol building and take it over. But because if they were, we would have saw way more shit.
Get through, like, what did the police do to stop them? I don't know what the fuck the planning was for this, but they just were absolutely not ready for this. They did not have anywhere near the number of like federal agents on hand. Federal? Would you call National Guard?
Which I wonder why, right? Now, when I debated Destiny on this, like, yeah, Capitol Chief Police Sund, he was like, yeah, basically Nancy Pelosi's team wouldn't allow us to have the National Guard there. They intentionally kept us out of the loop. Even here, this is days after January 6th. He's like, why were they so unprepared? Now you're a fucking radical conspiracy theorist if you ask those questions.
Federal agents? Or since they're state entities? I don't know how you refer to them. They needed like National Guard like before anything happened. They super dropped the ball on all of this. I don't know how. I don't know how they were so ill prepared. Stop saying, how many times do I have to bring up the same fucking point? The DoD did deny them the use of the National Guard. I'm not talking about the National Guard request fucking 1 hour after the building's already been fucking breached. I'm talking about like days beforehand. This shit should have been arranged. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about a request made while the inbreds are fucking storming the fucking Capitol. I'm saying like before, this should have been set up like way beforehand. Do you think calling it a coup is useful optics, even if it's not technically true? I mean, like, it's not really a coup, but you should probably call it a coup because
now he's turned into that is a clear insurrection. Well, what's changed? Well, I've seen the court cases. Well, that doesn't change the video that you've seen. That doesn't change the argument you've seen. What changed is now it's politically expedient, right? And he does this with all sorts of issues. For example, he gave his honest opinion 3 days into the Black Lives Matter riots, the George Floyd riots. I talked to him, and I was like, these riots are getting out of control. What should we do? We're having this conversation. He says to me, defending these riots, he says, rioting is the other side of the coin to voting.
A disingenuous sack of shit. Because, as I've debated you in the past, you started talking before January 6th ever occurred about how the BLM riots were justified. It was just the other side of the coin of voting. Of course, once you realized that grip wouldn't do as well for you when you were debating the Rittenhouse shit, you completely 180'd your position.
Did I ever say writing is the other side of the coin of voting? Probably did. That's a really strange statement if I did. If I did, that's a really strange statement, but go ahead, okay.
I will try to find the clip.
Activism and riots are one side of the coin and the other side is voting. I don't think there's conspiratorial at all. I think that affecting political change like this is fine. Like, that's part of the goal.
He's literally right here, and I'll show you later. He's talking about day 3 into the George Floyd riots. That's when I'm debating him. Day 3 into the George Floyd riots. And I said, look, the conspiracy theorist in me thinks that governors like Cuomo and the governor of Wisconsin are allowing the riots to get out of control because they think it's helping them politically. They think that it's hurting Donald Trump. And Destiny's response is, I don't think that's a conspiracy theory at all. Of course, that's what they're doing. It's affecting political change, and that's good.
Activism and riots are one side of the coin and the other side is voting. I don't think there's conspiratorial at all. I think that affecting political change like this is fine. Like, that's part of the goal. Activism and riots are one side of the coin and the other side is voting.
And that, yes, he's against private property destruction, but if you feel that the government institutions are screwing you over, then yes, this is how to get your voice.
I think that the destruction of public property and police precincts and stuff, I think is totally justified, sure. And and you know what? If people felt the same about the lockdown, and that's your I disagree with the reason for it, but yeah, I mean, if you want to protest, we're fucking Americans, of course. This is how we get our voice heard. It's by blowing shit up from the government or whatever. Yeah, of course.
Where would Destiny's audience get the fucking idea that it's okay to use violence against the government? Where would they get that idea? Was this just a joke as well? Is this just a dark joke? He says this shit all the time, and then he tries to walk it back once the heat comes. That's why his audience is getting the impression, because he's saying it. Hobbit guy, Destiny's mod. Do you see now where the problem comes from? Yeah, but after Destiny said, of course, we're fucking Americans. Blow up government property. Blow up, attack the government. Use violence to get your way. Of course. When he later says, oh, that's not, I don't think I want my community doing that. Do you understand why his community's like, oh, we get it. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Again, listen to this again. Institutions are screwing you over, then yes, this is how to get your voice.
I think that the destruction of public property and police precincts and stuff, I think is totally justified, sure. And and you know what? If people felt the same about the lockdown, and that's your I disagree with the reason for it, but yeah, I mean, if you want to protest, we're fucking Americans, of course. This is how we get our voice heard. It's by blowing shit up from the government or whatever. Yeah, of course.
I think that's insanity. I mean, it's just anarchy.
Was it the Declaration of Independence that said that we have not an opportunity, but an obligation to fight against an unjust government or whatever? I mean, this is pretty dug into part of our American blood.
Now weigh that against. Now, remember when that Alice chick, they, them, whatever, fucking called in the other day? Oh, Declaration of Independence, the Constitution says we have a moral obligation to fight tyranny, so we need to start shooting ICE officers. You starting to see a line? You starting to see? Why all of a sudden people in Destiny's community are serious about using violence? If we don't win the next midterms, then we're going to use violence, is what they're saying. And the mod's like, whoa, wait a minute. Where would they get that idea? There you go. This is rhetoric on January 6th, right? Where there were no private properties destroyed, right? And it's Luigi Mangione, he has the correct take. It's like, dude, you can't be fucking assassinating. But Donald Trump, when his buddy Pisco asked him, did you want that bullet to kill Trump? Destiny's response is, I can't say what I want. I don't think I could say because of terms of service, which should be a big red flag to you right out of the gate. And then he says, what I will say is him missing is the worst thing that could have happened. Now, I can't say, I don't know what I could say. Remember when Destiny's mod in that video I showed you where he's talking to Destiny here just from the other day? He says, a lot of people are using phrases to not violate TOS, but they really are advocating for violence. Destiny goes on Piers Morgan's show, and I defended him around the time of this assassination, where he basically tells Piers, I don't know you shit. Don't tell me that I have to calm down my rhetoric, fuck you. I actually sympathize with that view. But at this point, Pisco was his co-host. So he has no reason to tell Pisco to fuck off. He's having an honest conversation. So Pisco throws a layup. Now, let me set the stage for this clip. I don't know if it's before or after this. It's probably after. But full disclosure, and I shouldn't say this, I actually called Pisco and talked to him about this. And I was like, look, here's the deal. I'm not fucking friends with Pisco. I'm not friends with Destiny. But I reached out to Pisco on Discord, and we had a Discord call. And it basically went something like this. I was like, I don't know how many friends Destiny has. I think that he probably has a bunch of people that are around him claiming to be his friends that are there for transactional reasons. So at the end of the day, if he fails and that's more clicks for them, they don't give a fuck. But if you really are one of his friends, you gotta tell this guy to fucking calm down because someone in his community is gonna kill someone. Tell him to take a break. Tell him to stream video games. Tell him to fucking fight with Andrew Tate or something. But you gotta fucking calm down because people are gonna hear this shit. And I don't want an actual political assassination from any side. And Pisco's like, yeah, you know, I'll try to talk to him, blah, blah, blah. You know, and understood. Where did Trump say, show me the equivalent of an assassination attempt on a left-wing politician, and Trump saying the worst thing that could happen is them not dying? Show me. I'm so tired of the whataboutism. We have to call for death and violence and see the constant assassination attempts and violence against right-wing figures. We have to do it because Trump says mean things. So we have to. We absolutely have to. That's just the way it is. Fuck you people. The truth is, you've always been violent pieces of shit. It's just that the culture's been going your way for so long, you didn't have to use the violence. And as soon as it starts going the other way, you're like, now we're justified in using violence. And you'll find any little fucking thing that you can to justify in your own head why it's okay. Because you're good people and your opponents are evil. So it's okay for you to do it. Pisco is trying, and I believe this. I believe Pisco was trying to be like, look, Destiny, pull her back, buddy. So again, he throws a layup question. Well, you didn't want Trump to die, right? Just like Destiny's mod, who's talking to him here from a couple days ago, is like, you're not really saying this. You think that your community's taking and saying things, take it in ways that you don't really believe, right? And Destiny's response is, I think they're taking it in predictable ways. Yeah, predictable because that's what you really believe. Just like here, Pisco's setting him up with the layup. You didn't really want Trump to die. Of course not. Of course that's not what I wanted. But fuck these right-wingers. They're violent pieces of shit and blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to give them that. That's what you would expect Destiny to say if he didn't really want Trump to be killed. Here's instead what Destiny says. Not a joke, not to someone he says, I don't owe you an answer because you're someone I hate. His own co-host at the time. Here's what he said. Ready? Be a big red flag to you right out of the gate. And then he says, what I will say is him missing is the worst thing that could have happened.
Do you wish the attempt had been successful?
Do I wish that the attempt had been successful? Fuck, am I even allowed to say anything about that?
So first he's like, I don't know what I'm allowed to say. I don't want to get in trouble with TOS. Now that seems to be a red flag right out of the gate. I wonder what his opinion is if he says, would you be allowed to say something if you're like, of course not. But that's clearly not his take. Again, listen to the question that Pisco asks. Worst thing that could have happened.
Do you wish the attempt had been successful?
Do
you wish the assassination attempt had been successful?
Wish that the attempt had been successful. Fuck, am I even allowed to say anything about that?
You don't have to answer that.
I wonder why Pisco said you don't have to answer that. Because Pisco, you know what his thought was right there? Ah, fuck. And now Pisco realizes Destiny's about to let it be known. Yeah. Now at this point, whatever you think of Pisco, you might hate him, whatever, it doesn't matter. I don't know that Pisco is as quick to call for political violence. I think Pisco wants a bunch of dumb shit, but this sort of thing, right? But even if you don't believe that, Pisco's smart enough to know Destiny was his ticket. Him and Destiny are doing this show. What was it called? I can't remember. But they had a show together. They had actual Democrat politicians and DNC members coming on and shit like that. So he doesn't want that to all be ruined because his more popular co-host is like, yes, of course, there was just an assassination attempt against Trump and that's based. I wish it would have succeeded. He don't want that. So he's like, well, did you want that to succeed? And as soon as it's obvious to Pisco, like, oh, fuck, he did want it to. He says, you don't have to answer that. So listen, you can hear in real time Pisco being like, fuck, I wish I wouldn't have asked that. Him missing is the worst thing that could have happened.
Do you wish the attempt had been successful?
Do I wish that the attempt had been successful? Fuck, am I even allowed to say anything about that?
You don't have to answer that.
Uh-oh! That's not good for the brand. You don't have to answer that. Yeah, no shit. Now let's hear what he says. And the Destiny, he's collected his thoughts after telling you, I have to be careful what I say because it could be bad for me for terms of service to tell the truth. So I'm going to try to use weasel words. Here's what he comes up with. Ready?
Here's what I'll say. This is what I will say. I don't know, because I'm trying to Fed post or whatever. Here's what I will say.
I'm trying not to Fed post. Now, what's Fed post mean? I don't want to say something that could get me in trouble with law enforcement. Now, what do you think his honest thoughts are that he's afraid that if he says them will get him in trouble with the Fed? Again, he ain't saying this to fucking me. He ain't saying it to Piers Morgan, people that he could say, these are right-wingers, fuck them, I owe them nothing. This is his co-host. Did you want that attempt to succeed? Did you want Trump to be killed by that assassin's bullet? Well, I don't know what I could say because of Fed posting. Now, Destiny's moderator just said one of the problems on this community is that people are using coded language, but what they really mean are calls for violence. And what's going to happen is that information is going to be sent to the government. I wonder where they got that. Here's the guy that they watch doing the same fucking thing. The same thing.
Even allowed to say anything about that?
You don't have to answer that.
Here's what I'll say. This is what I will say. I don't know, because I'm trying to Fed post whatever. Here's what I will say. A failed attempt is probably the worst outcome of anything that could have happened. I'll say that much.
I was willing to Pisco's credit, he was like, no, Trump being killed would have been worse. So the worst thing that could have happened was someone attempting and not killing Trump. Now, I want you that's listening there, whether you hate Destiny, you like him, whatever, be honest. What is Destiny trying to tell you there? He's acknowledging, I can't say what I really want. I don't know what I'm allowed to say. I don't want a Fed post. What do you think he's saying? Yeah, I wish that bullet would have killed Trump.